Okay, let's let's go ahead and start this up. What's up everybody? Welcome back to the Cartography podcast with myself and Rewrite or Thomas, better known as. Um First of all, good morning to anybody who is watching the VOD later on. Um and I just want to say our podcast has been doing really well over on YouTube.
Sick.
You were why are you You're like mute.
Sick.
Why are you muted? I was about to say, I know that's not on my end. But yeah, our podcast has been doing really well on YouTube, which is really freaking awesome. It's the most amazing thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and kick this off. I just wanted to give that a big shout out. If you guys haven't yet, please go over there and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I will post a link in the Discord chat towards the end of this. But thank you. Anyways, Thomas.
CyberPunk came out.
Finally. CyberPunk came out. It's out. We finally have it in our hands.
It's real.
After all this time, it turns out it wasn't a myth. It existed. Good morning, Shads. Hello. It exists. Cyberpunk is a real thing. I was pretty much convinced after a while that Cyberpunk did not actually exist.
And that we were being trolled the whole time.
Yeah, and that we were just being trolled the whole time. I will say something interesting. So I brought up in the last VOD, I said that that it's like a continuation of Cyberpunk 2020, right? And while I was prowling around in the game and everything, I happened to come across Cyberpunk 2020 game manual that you could just pick up off the ground. Like you could put it in your inventory and everything. And I was like, that's a nice little nod. Something else that was really interesting that I found out is all the perks and everything are all based off of Cyberpunk-esque video games and animes and shit.
Have you noticed that all the quests are like song references?
Yeah, I have, which is also really wild. But I actually have a list here. I was gonna say or save it towards later on in the stream, but I want to go ahead and say it because I thought it was really cool. So for some of the perks, there's one and it's Neo, and it's in the reflex perk, and it's him holding his hand out. I wish I could show it on camera, but it's really weird to do it. But there's the
it's it's like references. Okay. So it's the actual the pictures of the stuff. Okay, gotcha. I'm trying.
Yeah, there's Akira is on it.
Yeah, that's the one. It's got the motorcycle swipe thing.
Yeah. Kung Fury's in it. Ghost in the Shell. System Shock. Blade Runner is in it. Another Ghost in the Shell. Another Kira. The Fifth Element is in it.
I mean, Deadass, the game has a fuck ton of memes and references and stuff in it.
There's so many
There's actually okay, so this is a spoiler-ish, I don't know, but does anyone know the Best Doctor, the Best Doctor skit? I forgot what comedy it's from. It could be The Office or something like that, but he's I'm Best Doctor in Japan. Yakuza boss come in. Oh no, make mistake, he dies. But Best Doctor in Japan, I make no mistakes, I killed him on purpose. That's actually a whole fucking quest in the game. That's actually it's a thing.
It's a full-on quest.
It's a little guys oh, go pick up this dude, he's in a refrigerator. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you put him in the trunk of
I did do that.
Yeah, and then you put him in the trunk of the car, and then you drive, and he's where you're what the fuck is going on? And he starts to talk. You're oh, holy shit, it's this meme. What the fuck?
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of references and everything that are involved in Cyberpunk. A lot of meme culture is in Cyberpunk. I'm honestly just blown away by the game. I'm not too blown away though, I will say. Also, hello Zero, hello Illusionist, welcome to the chat, welcome to the stream. I am Matt Meister, as you guys are well aware, and this is Rewrite. Go one of you mods do a shout out for Rewrite real quick, so that way Illusionist can hop on over there and say
hello. Hi. Hello, at me. I'm the greatest.
But anyways, there are some things that I really want to get into, right? So first of all, I want to start with the picking your character's background.
Irrelevant. Like that shit,
Okay.
and that shit makes me so sad. And I called it, and I hate the fact that I fucking did. Like, cause you know, when we were talking about it last podcast, I was like, yo, wouldn't it be fucking sick if like this shit mattered? But I bet you it's a conflux. Like, I bet you it all cascades to one point, and then that's really where like the game starts.
Right.
Also, thank you for following me, illusionist. But like it all like you do your little like intro sequence, which I picked the nomad and you picked the street kid,
Yep.
and the nomad one was super short,
The
super
street kid
short.
one was. I felt like the street kid one was actually relatively long.
From what Jacob told me, the corpo one was kind of long too, because he was like dead ass. The nomad one was talk guy, jiggle thing, go to radio tower, plug in thing, call guy, meet guy, put thing in car, drive, go through checkpoint, drive again. And it was really like that. It was super short. Like, it was super short. Which if you'd have told, if you like, I did not know that I was still that was like the nomad sequence. So I thought the nomad sequence ended at the end of Act 1, like dead ass.
Right.
Because I
Right.
thought all of that was like, okay, like this is just what I went through. And then you know, like Jacob caught up to Act 1 or Act 2, and then you're there as well. And like from what we've compared notes on, like it's all the same shit.
Relatively.
So that's kind of trash.
Zero says, I don't think it's irrelevant. Of course, it needs to go to a point. I already had differences with Shads, and I'm Corpo, and Shads is Nomad. See, what I'm getting at, what I'm saying, or what we're saying, trying to put across, is that it's irrelevant in the sense of you come to the same conclusion at the end of everything. So, like, either way, one way or the other, you're going to end up in that same apartment. You're going to end up with the same friends. You're going to end up doing the same quest.
And
You know, I mean,
you're dead ass. Everyone's first quest is the same. Like the actual first quest, like when you go to rescue the chick and the guy with the shotgun blows a hole in the wall. Like everyone has. Can you do early spoilers? I am down for spoilers up to the end of Act 1. Like actually,
I am currently level 15 with 25 street cred, and Thomas is like level 30 with max street cred.
32.
So early game spoilers are fine for us. But I don't know if Shad's I'm trying to keep it spoiler friendly a little bit. So, but I'm only past Act 1. Like, I only got past Act 1, and I'm hardly even into Act 2.
Right. Like, there's a lot of, like, I can tell y'all a bunch of, like, one of the things I actually, if it's okay with you, like, I want to do, like, wild shit with no context at the end of the podcast. Because there's, literally, I have done some wild shit. And I'm like, yo, they actually put this shit in a video game. Like, that kind of, holy fuck, this is wild. Like,
yeah.
But like if I give you no context, that thing could either happen to you or not. And it's super crazy. It's super wild.
Oh, he said, for example, I knew the money chip was spiked because I was Corpo. Shads didn't. He couldn't figure it out, but my character knew, and that to me is so cool. So as a street kid, when I got the money chip to go pay off for the flathead, my character immediately recognized that a corporate agent was giving him this money chip, and he was like, "Yeah, fuck that. I'm gonna inspect. I feel like I should inspect this."
And you take the malware out.
Yeah, and like that's when my character was like, "I'm going to check it for malware and everything." So that's really cool. I'm gonna go and play Watch Dogs to remain completely Cyberpunk blind, but I hope you both have a great stream. Thank you, Illusionist, and thank you for the follow towards Rewrite. You already said thank you, but I wanted to thank you myself too. Uh, but and thanks for the game this morning, Matt. Of course, Alicia. If you ever want to play anymore, just let me know. I'm totally down for any Pokemon stuff. I'm actually kind of building a new deck for Pokemon, which you caught me in the middle of doing when you challenged me the first time. But anyway, so like I have noticed that like depending on the type of character background that you pick, depends on like how V like thinks and operates sometimes. But most of the time, you're still doing the same quest line. You're still making the same friends. You're still making the same enemies, and etc. etc. However, because I had Street Kid, I was able to like converse with certain people that I don't think like Nomad would have the choice of saying the same dialogue options.
Or like
Like for
or
instance,
vice versa.
right. And so, for instance, if I am a street kid, I could walk up to this gang of thugs, and I was like, "Yo, Tiger Claw sent me," which Tiger Claw is one of the or one of the gangs in the
Mhm.
game. And I could be like, "Tiger Claw sent me, let me through," and they'll be like, "Oh, fuck that, I don't want to deal with Tiger Claw," and they leave, and let me go do my thing. However, if you're like Nomad, for instance, there could be a chance of it being "Hey, let me through, or beat the shit out of you," or something. You know what I mean? Like something along those lines, taking a different route rather than coercing and talking your way around a situation to trick people into letting you
It
pass.
definitely like it has its perks. Like there's been a couple of people where like I could pick the nomad option, and that like there was this section where like I'm looking for this lady that's in an apartment building, and I'm like, yo, I asked a dude in the middle of like it's like a plaza, like a market plaza, and then she's in like an apartment, which was
Mhm.
pissing me off because my game was slick bugged, and like because it requires you to pay money to get into the building, and I would pay the
Mhm.
money and then it would not open, and that was really pissing me off. But there's a dude in the plaza that you could talk to, and he's like he is also a nomad. So I'm like, oh, I used to be from I think it's called the Backer family or whatever, and he's
Mhm.
like, oh, I used to be this. And we're like, he's like, oh yeah, so you're without a clan too, and I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, well, she's in that building. I was like, sick, thank you.
Yeah, that didn't. I know what mission you're talking about, and that did not go the way that it went for me. So, like, originally, what ended up happening to me was I addressed him, and I was like, "Hey, I'm looking for so and such," and he was like, "Yeah, I've never heard of the fucking name." And then I used Street Kid, and I was like, "You're gonna lie to a fucking badge like that? You realize what kind of trouble I can get you in? Like I could just
Mhm.
turn around and arrest you right here and there, and nobody would even bat an you know? And he was like, "Whoa, chill out. I'm not trying to go to jail or anything." And I was like, "Well, then you're gonna tell me who the lady is." It's like, "Well, I can tell you where she's at, but I can't show you how to get in there." So he pointed me in the direction, and because of the skill that I picked, the skills that I had gone down, like the way that I developed my character, I was able to look at the door, hack the door, open the door immediately without
Mhm.
having to do
And
anything.
see, like, I didn't think to do that kind of shit till like way later. Like the hacking stuff. Like, I really didn't fuck with at the beginning. Most of my hacks are combat hacks. Like, I went with like contagion and like short circuit and shit like that. Like, nothing super
Yeah.
wild. But
I find myself like before I run into like a confrontation, I immediately go to quick hacks and start, quick hacking everybody
yeah,
before I
see
ever
that
walk into the fight.
I've evolved to that point. Like, there was a section where like I had to bust up into a I had to bust up into like a compound, and they were like, "Oh, there's Invisa turrets right here," and I'm like, "Oh, sick!" And I just hacked the turrets. And so it was
Right.
funny as fuck because the dudes kept like like they took their patrol route, and they would walk up to the door, and the turrets would pop out and shoot them, and then close back up. It was
Mhm.
funny as hell. Um,
Thank you so much for the 10-bit chats. I appreciate or zero. I'm sorry.
but it was
I don't have my glasses on. I can't read properly.
it was pretty neat. So like,
Yeah.
what do you think about like the city, like Night City as a whole?
Overall, I enjoy Night City. Uh, and as a whole, I enjoy Night City. I kind of like the fact that you you can go to like a different part of the map, right? And like usually in some games, like when you're talking about like different areas of the map, you would think like, oh, this place is gonna be different than this place, and this place is gonna be different than this place, right? But like it slowly evolves into it, right? So like if you're going from like a higher up part of the city or higher end part of the city, and you're moving down towards like the lower end part of the city, it slowly evolves into a shit pile.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? But like it's not like in some games where like if I go from here to here, it's going to be like an immediate
I
change.
like
Like
I
you can just
guess
tell.
the best comparison would be like Grand Theft Auto and like the island system, where like the islands were different than one
Hmm.
another. or the sections of
Absolutely.
like in San Andreas, like the map was pretty different, but like you did but didn't have access to all this stuff off the rip, which
Right.
you are locked into one area during the first act. But the first act
Yes.
like changes dramatically. Like
Mhm.
because once the map is open, it's open. I dead
Right.
ass went to a bunch of places and didn't even know I was going like
Yeah,
to
same.
do random shit. I was like, oh,
I had no idea where the hell I was.
and then like you pull up your map and you look at like all the gigs and stuff around you. You're like, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah. You're like, everybody's a higher level than me. Um, Zero says, also, Militech is the end for me. The guy came who was held hostage by the lady, and for Shaz, the lady came to the bunker. I mean, I get it. Games are complex, but you can't stray too far from how CDPR handles it. I like how CDPR handles it. Game is amazing, but we have to talk about the base console. Such as what? What do you mean by that?
I have an Xbox One X.
Yeah, I'm playing
Jake
on PlayStation.
Jacob is playing on the Xbox One S,
Right.
and he has had issues like
I haven't
playing
had
it.
any big issues or
I
anything. Like
haven't.
I've run into like a few glitches, but that's like it was like minor stuff.
I've had like the frame rate's almost constantly an issue, especially driving. My game crashes every once in a while because it'll have hangups in some parts, but it'll crash. Like, let me try to think. But Jacob and I've had bugs like that's I'm pretty confident isn't like console specific. It's just bugged. Like I kept having to quick load a quest because it was supposed to be like this group of people talks to this group of people, and so they would walk up and the conversation wouldn't start. So they would just walk up and be standing there. And I had to quick
Right.
load it like 3 or 4 times to get it to work. But
I haven't ran into anything like that yet.
the quick
thankfully.
save feature is so good that you are typically not losing much project. Oh, and then I fell through the map once. Like
Really?
Deadass was running I run a lot, like I run around the city a
Yeah.
lot, so I was running
Same, I
and
hardly ever
and then
tried.
just fell. Just like Deadass just fell through the map. And then the game was like, "Yo, my bad." And just like basically quick loaded me back to where I was.
Zero says in the bar the game goes down to 10 FPS for the base consoles. So like if you're playing on the original PS4 and original Xbox, if you're in the bar, like everything drops to like
I'd
10
believe it.
FPS.
I believe it.
Pro versions are somewhat okay. Next gen systems are good, but the base consoles are sorry to say unacceptable.
I agree.
And I completely agree. It is unacceptable. Now,
It,
another thing we have to take into consideration is this is a game that pretty much like they've gone back and they've pretty much restarted on like graphic design and stuff like that like several times now throughout the creation of the game. You know, like going back and we're gonna delay it so we can work on it a little bit longer so it's prepared for the next generation of consoles, the PS5 and the new Xbox. You know, so I feel like it's probably what we have is like a dumbed down version of what the final product will be for the newer gen, and it's only barely dumbed down to run on like a PS4 Pro or the new Xbox or something. You know what I mean? And that's causing a lot of issues with the game itself. It's the same thing as like the new Assassin's Creed, for instance, like Valhalla. It's literally just a dumbed down version of what the final product was for the new generation consoles, or I guess current generation consoles at this point. But for the new gen consoles, and then it's too difficult for the old systems to be running at this point. So it's having a lot of like crashes, or it's having this issue and that issue. I feel like that can kind of play some kind of role in why it's acting the way that it is.
I just I believe that it's like a I believe like it's unacceptable to charge people $60 for a product that's not going to function.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
if it's not gonna like if you'd have told me between last year and this year, you know what, because of tech, we are not going to release we're not going to release this on last gen consoles. You have to get a Series X or play it on PC.
I think
I
that would have been fine
I would have been
if they
okay
did
with
something
that.
like
I
that.
would have been okay with
Yeah,
that. Like if you told me
yeah.
before release, like you would have to have told me before release. But don't. It's kind of like I don't know how familiar everyone is with the Batman Arkham. The last one. What was the last one? The
Arkham Knight.
Yeah, the PC port for that doesn't fucking work.
Right.
Period. Like it actually does not work. Um, and
I
they
think it's
said that,
videos on YouTube about that.
yeah, they said that they were gonna fix it, and then they never did. Like so, and
Um,
it's one of those things about like I don't understand why you would release something. It's because it's obviously like it's obviously going to be an inferior product. Period. Like it
right.
is what it is. But to the degree that like some people on base consoles of shit don't work, like it doesn't it bear like I've heard people can't they boot up the game and it crashes immediately. I've heard people
Mm.
say and that's base Xbox and base PS4.
Right.
And it's just like they're like, "Bro, I paid $60 for this. What the fuck?" Which I'm like, "Yo, that's kind of trash." Like not going to lie. You know,
Right.
this is CD Project Red catering to try to cater to too big of an audience and or their shareholders just to here I am trying to make money, not ship a good product in that specific situation, because I like the product. The product is good, but I paid $60 for it to work as advertised, and some people
Right.
paid $60 and it does not work as advertised, regardless of how optimized it is for current generation consoles.
Zero says, I believe CDPR will fix it. They fixed up The Witcher 3 on base PS4 and Xbox One, and now that motherfucker runs smooth as shit. I mean, every now and again you'll find something that's fucked
My
up, but for the
mine
most part,
mine my issues just it crashed every once in a while. Like it didn't really
yeah.
have any issues, just it would turn
I
off.
never had my Witcher crash actually. Oh well, no, I have had it like once. It just like completely like removed me from the game and then closed the game.
Yeah,
Like it didn't like crash, but it just like brought me back to the home screen and
it
then
just turned the
closed
game.
it.
It literally just turned the game off.
And then Shad says also CD Projekt Red stock tanked and some review bombing going on, but same old same. Very true. Very true.
So like it's just like if I was to review the game right now, even as buggy as it is, I look past that stuff. Like
Yeah,
for
same.
what the game is, and the thing is like I did that with Fallout. Like I did that with literally the whole family of Fallout. Even though I have much more faith in CD Projekt Red to fix it than I do Bethesda, or I did in Bethesda.
Yeah,
I don't know how they're going to be now, but
right. So my opinion on this whole debacle is, you know, we have asked CG Project Red several times, release the game, release the game, release the game, release the game, right? And they kept what? They kept being like, no, we're gonna push it back. We need to work on it. Make sure it works properly. I'm pretty sure you saw my Facebook post about this, but they kept pushing it back to make sure they wanted it to work properly. And eventually, they just kind of like gave in and were like, fine, fuck it, we'll release the game. So they did, and what happened? We have a lot of like glitches and things that are going wrong with the system and everything, or the game. And I feel like we as consumers are partly to blame for it because we have pressured them into releasing it. I mean, for instance, let's look at The Witcher 3. That's another example of a game that they pushed back. They pushed that game back so many times. If you add up all the pushbacks together, it'll equal a year.
hmm,
It'll equal like a year and a half or something. Over five to it was like 4 or 5 years after they announced it that it was supposed to come out, they pushed it back like a total of that many fucking times. You know what I mean? To make sure that it was good. And when we got it, it was good. I mean, it had problems. It was a little buggy, but like ultimately, it was a good final product. Like here and there they would make adjustments to it. But we pressured them so much that we wanted Cyberpunk because we did. Like you give us something to look forward to that is gonna just fucking blow our minds. Like we want it. We want to play it, and I feel like it's kind of our problem to deal with at this point is just to suck it up, man. I mean, eventually they're gonna fix the game. It's gonna run perfectly fine. by that time, we'll probably almost everybody in the world will probably have a new generation console,
Mhm.
and then they're gonna like re-release the game, but it'll be like the PS5 Xbox version, new Xbox version of the game. Because right now we don't have them.
We don't
Right
have
now it's
the
like
upgrades, the upgraded
yeah, we
copy.
don't have the upgraded copy right now. Like they've already said that they're withholding like the final copy or final version of the game until everything's fixed and everything's like done up, and then they're gonna fucking drop it again with like added stuff. And I think that's a good move on their part, honestly. Um, I'm okay with it. Like I can enjoy this for what it is, and when the final product finally drops, I'll probably end up replaying the fucking game again. To be honest, I mean, that's what I did for The Witcher when the DLC for The Witcher dropped. I completely started from the start, played all the way through, made different decisions, and then played the DLC,
And the thing is like with the game being so new, you can't tell where you fucked up if something goes
Yeah.
sideways.
Yeah.
Like I've had a couple situations turn sideways and like I'm confident I fucked up, but I don't know if I did. Like
Right.
people have died. And I'm just like, yo, did I make a mistake?
Did I do
Yeah.
something wrong?
You
Yeah.
know? Um
Like on one mission, I replayed it like at least 7 or 8 times to see if I could come out to a different outcome because I didn't know if I was fucking up on something. But no, man, like, well, some parts, like, the decisions that you make throughout the mission, like, mattered, but in other parts, like, not so much. Like, it still came to the same directive.
it's one of the things that sucks, I guess, about like an RPG game is going to have defined conclusions regardless. So it's like it gives the game, especially after the opening act, gives you a much larger like spectrum of
Perspective.
options, and
Uh,
everything is kind of like in perspective about stuff that's happened in the first act.
mm,
Though the closing of the first act will like, what the fuck you, like I don't know what
yeah.
the fuck I so like uh do we is Takamura still considered, is that whole section with Takamura still in the beginning, is still in the first act? Because I kind of like want to talk about that real quick.
Yes. Well, kind of. Like, what specific part
Just
about?
the like,
Are you talking about when you're in the Badlands?
yeah, kinda like when
That's like
when
at
he
the
picks you up out of the,
end.
yeah, okay, so when he
That's
get like
the
gets you out of the
end of
landfill,
Act 1.
when he
Yeah.
gets,
This is the
so like
very end of Act 1.
that whole section gives you no like why is he there? It's like he's there, right?
Mhm.
He's like, I'm here to kill you because you killed what's his name, and you're just
Right.
like, but I didn't. And he's like, I don't fucking believe you. And then suddenly he's saving your life and like doing and like transporting you in the car and shit.
Yeah,
Like
that didn't even
like
happen for me. Like what happened to me is he pulled up and he was like, "Hey, I brought the guy that you wanted." And he's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then boom, he shoots homeboy,
yeah.
and then he's like, "You and me are gonna take a ride." Like he like eases down. He's like, "You and me are gonna take a ride." And V was like, "Help me, I'm dying." And he's like, "You're already dead." Or he's like, "Oh, you're already dead," or something. And then he shuffles me into the car, and then we got attacked, and then so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Like.
Okay, because I
Mine kind
was,
of played out a little different.
mine was like a jumbled mess. Like I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Mm.
Granted, like I might have had, I had a little bit of like chaos like on at like, because like it's basically like a
At the house
cutscene.
too, yeah.
Like I had some chaos
Yeah.
like at the house, so that might have been like what fucked me up. But
Yeah.
like I was just like, what the fuck is going on? But I'm letting y'all know. I'm letting y'all know that Act 2 is so fucking good.
I have
Act
only
2
just
is
started
Act 2 is where I like full committed to like meeting characters and doing the side shit and stuff. Or like, like you'll meet someone like to do the main quest and you're like, hey, I like this person. Let me go hang out with them. Like, let me go see what's up about that. And
Yeah.
I met like a fucking lot of like, not a lot. I've met 3 people. Like, now that I think about it.
It's kind of sad though, you know what I mean? Like You would think there'd be more facial interaction, but no, like they all just call you on their neck.
There's, let me see, the people that stand out to me that I've met is Judy,
Mhm,
Panam,
mhm.
however you say her
I
name.
haven't even met her. Apparently, if you go with the Nomad start, you apparently meet her somewhat at the beginning
No,
in Act 1
fuck
during the
no, you
Nomad
don't.
start.
Fuck no, you don't.
Oh.
Fuck no, you don't. I'm
I
telling you,
also
dead ass. This is a tiny spoiler. This is small, but this is the Nomad start. This is dead ass the beginning of the game. So if you didn't pick Nomad, I'm sorry. It sucks to be you. But literally, you wake up with the garage. You fiddle with your car. You drive the car, okay, to the tower. You go to the tower. You go meet Jackie. Jackie puts the box in the car. You drive through a fucking checkpoint. You're in the fucking city. Like it's that fast. It is so short.
goddamn,
It is
mine was
so
long.
short. Like I mean, when you go on the other side of the checkpoint, like people show up and it's a car chase, but like it's not it's not very long. It is actually not very long.
I felt like mine was long, but now that I think about it, no, mine was actually relatively short too. Because all that happens is, and this is another slight spoiler. We're gonna have to put a fucking spoiler warning on this or something. But slight spoiler, for Street Kid. If you pick Street Kid, what ends up happening is your character is like he pulls his hands away from his face and he's looking at himself in the mirror in the bar, in Jackie's mom's bar, and his nose is fucking broken. And you can choose to like reset your nose or you can like take a shot or whatever. And like so I reset my character's nose, and then the bartender was like, "Oh, hey, I'm in debt with this guy upstairs. Can you talk to him, see if he'll maybe let me blah blah blah?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I went up there and I was like, "Hey, blah blah blah, what's happening?" And he's like, "Oh, well, how about I set you up with a job and then you'll go do that job and it'll pay back all his debt, and then some extra spending cash." And I was like, "Oh yeah, word, fuck it, man, let's do it." And then I met up with some like Godfather isk character, and we drove to the location that I was supposed to go to. I jumped down. I went over to the vehicle. I opened it up. Jackie shows up, points a gun at my face, tells me to get out of the car. Then we get jumped by a bunch of police guys. Boom. That's it. That was it. That's the entire intro for Street Kid.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And what's wild is apparently like if you start Corpo, like you and Jackie are like lifelong friends. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Like apparently
That
like you and Jackie are old friends if you start Corpo.
that's weird.
That is weird. I thought that was weird.
Also, I know depending on like the decisions that you make, like depending on like what start you pick, depends on like what kind of hairstyles you can get, uh, like piercings, tattoos, like stuff like that. Like I know it affects that kind of as well. And I think it also has something to do with like clothes that you can like craft off the start of the start of the game.
Apparently also it gives you money. Like
Yeah,
apparently Corpo you start with like a little bit more because I started with $0. I was
I had a
I was a
thousand
bro-
dollars.
I was broke. I was a broke bitch.
I had like $1,000. But I'm okay. So another thing that I want to put out there is I haven't died yet in the game, and I'm playing it on the hardest difficulty of the game. And I'm not really having that big of an issue, and I think it's because of the way that I am playing it. So I'm gonna go ahead and speak my mind on like the type of character build that I've made, and then Thomas, if you want to, you can do that as well. So the kind of character that I personally made for the game is I'm like a hacker. So like high reflex, high tech, and high cool and moderate intelligence. So essentially, before I ever get into a fight, I hack. I like do quick hacks on anybody and everybody that I can. And like because of how I spec my character out, I can pretty much instant kill somebody with a fucking quick hack. You know. Um, and so I do that, and then I go in and I sweep up the rest. Like if I run out of RAM, or like if I feel like going in and fighting. Otherwise, like, I normally don't have to fight anybody. Like, I just kill everybody with my eye, essentially. You know what I mean? Which is fucking crazy. And I'm a level 15, but I have a really high RAM or whatever. What's
It's
the
RAM.
OS system? I have a high OS system,
Oh,
so
yeah.
like I have like 10 fucking different things slotted for it. So like I can cause somebody to like catch fire, or I can spread a virus, or I can shut down everyone's optics at once. You know, like things like that. I can do all sorts of this crazy shit. And then I can even make them leave combat state, you know, or I can make them kill each other. You know, things like that. Like I literally don't do anything if I don't want to. Like if I go into like a situation and there's like 20 guys there and they haven't spotted me off rip, like I can literally just beam my eye vision at them and then cause them to start killing each other. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I legitimately I don't have to fight anybody. And I think that's why I'm having an easier time on the hardest setting. You know, uh, Zero says, also, another big oversight in the game, you can't change your hair, beard, tattoos, or other things in game once you create your character. That's another thing that I wanted to fucking talk about. But I've described my type of character. I also use blades. I go in and cut people up and stuff whenever I need to. Um, like my sword skill is pretty high. I pretty much stab somebody once and then they bleed to death, which
Sick.
is really cool. What about you, Thomas?
I'm like the. It's one of those like I started with like blades. I really wanted to double like be melee, but then like, and katanas are cool as fuck. Like, so I had a katana and I'm like, yo, this is sick. And then like, okay. And then it turned out I was leveling the wrong thing. Like I was leveling my blunt weapon damage. So I was like, oh, okay, well, there's certain like there's a lady that wants you to take down cyber psychos non-lethal. So I was like, okay, I have to have a good blunt weapon on me at all times. Like, okay, okay, whatever. So I've got a fucking stick, and I'm beat people with it. And then like because that, like I leveled up my blunt damage. Like, okay, like I'm not gonna get caught with my fucking pants down because those dudes are strong. They will fuck you up.
Ridiculous.
They will actually destroy you. So like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that. And then I did that. And then it was like, well, there's these fight clubs. So, and then it turns out your bare fist is blunt damage. Like, oh, okay. And so then I punch people.
You just drop motherfuckers. You're like, yeah.
And then I invested in some gorilla fist. Like I did invest the fucking 15K or whatever it is to buy some fucking gorilla fist, and now it's literally like, say it again, bitch. The only thing that sucks about melee combat is you dead ass have to face tank everything. There's not like a real thing to help you do melee combat other than have a lot of HP and face tank everything. You know?
Right.
That kind of sucks.
So you can throw your knives. You could do that.
Yeah, I've got that, but like no, I'd rather punch people. Like I have the ability to like I can throw a knife. I bought that perk. I was like, oh, that's sick. I can throw a knife. But like it's just knives. It is just knives.
Yeah.
I also
is
like
this, straight from your inventory when you throw it. Or
no,
like
you have to have it equipped. Yeah, that's what
counts.
sucks.
That's
the only reason why I'm like, I didn't like invest in it because I was like, yo, this like I actually have to throw the weapon out of my hand. Like that's kind of trash.
Yeah.
But
you have to equip it and then throw it.
But besides that, like honestly, my character is like mostly body and like I'm pretty high in body reflexes, engineering, whatever that's called, and intelligence. Like I've got a lot of intelligence. And just because like the checks, like conversation checks, like I invested especially like in my my engineering and because there were so many conversation checks or door checks because like I didn't really start to see force the door open until way later.
Really?
The beginning of the game it's mostly have high tech skill or whatever, and you could just like boop the door open. And then it was like after I had already invested in these skills that I really started to hack, because I was like, well, I mean, I bought the skills, might as well.
Right.
But crafting is sick. Dead ass. I did not think about the fact that you could craft ammo, and you could just like churn out fucking ammo.
Dude, you don't even need to craft ammo, dude. You can just find ammo like everywhere. Like ammo is such a, it's like an infinite resource. You know, like
almost
it's everywhere.
Like
everywhere.
if you invest in the smart weapons, like you want to use the smart weapons, you'll piss a lot of rounds that way. And you will run out of ammo because like a lot of those shots don't hit because for whatever fucking reason they just don't.
Right.
But I invested, making ammo takes nothing.
Yeah.
And also, I also think it's really neat that you can get you can mod any weapon in the game to do non-lethal damage. Like that's super neat.
I don't know why that would matter though, like doing lethal versus non-lethal.
So sometimes
besides the cyber psychos, besides that,
in some situations, like you don't, like I guess you can keep some. So like there was a section which like I'm not gonna like spoil the people, but like there was a section where basically like people betrayed me after a big thing. People betrayed me, and I was like, oh shit, we have to throw down right now. And this is probably like 30 people or something, and I had a fucking ass beating stick, and like I just wail on everybody, like I'm just beating the fuck out of them, just like kept it pushing. Right. And then at the end there was like a boss guy, and like, you know, I beat him, and then he texted me later, he's like, I'm looking at you. I'm like, okay. Bitch, come fight me, I'll fuck you up again.
I do want to talk about this, what Zero put out here, where you can't change your hair, your beard, tattoos, or other things once you create your character. Now, that's a kind of an issue, man.
So like, one is you can get tattoos. They're not body tattoos. They're in the cybernetic slot.
Yeah. I did get a cybernetic tattoo on my arm.
That's it. Like, but besides that, like, yes, you can't change. Fuck. Now, granted, a lot of times my game won't render my fucking hair, and so like I'll be bald. I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? Like sections that they don't render your like it's sections, I guess, where you would take your hat off. They take your hair too.
Yeah.
So like, but yeah, no character customization outside of the start is wild. Because I feel like my dude is short, and I don't know if height was on the thing that you could change. But I was like, man, can I make my dude taller?
But you also couldn't make him like stockier either. Like he's just like thin.
A twink.
Yeah.
He's a little dude. He's a little dude. Yeah. Not gonna lie.
He is.
But the default voice I have is fucking primo. I love that shit.
You have you must have like a different voice than I do, to be honest. Because like the one that I have is kind of like weird. Like I don't really like it. You know, like, it sounds like stereotypical white guy trying to talk with slang or some shit. You know what I mean? Like that's what it sounds like to me for my character.
Oh, I love mine. I'm like, yo, this is choice. I love this.
Jinx, show me a soda. Okay, why am I so fucking lame? Anyway, but, you know, you gotta think, like, this was a game that they were talking about, like, prime character customization throughout, like, pretty much the entirety of this game, you know what I mean? Like, all this development led up, like, you could, like, there was a video I remember seeing, like, years back where he looked in the mirror and he was, like, changing his hair and everything.
Yeah, it was damn near like the Fallout 4 like character creation or Fallout 76 or whichever one that was. Like it was damn near that character. No, it was 4. It was damn near that screen where like he's in the mirror and he's fucking with his stuff and like it's not. But there is only 2 voices, but you can change the pitch.
Yeah.
So like it's because they had two voice actors, and then now you can change, you can edit their voice, but
Mhm.
you can't change their voice, if that makes sense. Which that
Yeah.
like that's fine with me, because like your character V is not like they are their own person. Like you are kind of like playing their story,
Yeah.
which their story's freaking
Um,
wild. But
another thing was, like, outside of, like, looking in the mirror and, like, adjusting your face whenever you wanted to, because that's what they were selling it as. Another thing was, remember, they showed off the closet, where you would go up to the closet and you would pick out different clothes and stuff, you know, through your closet. That's not a thing. You just adjust your clothing whenever you want to at any given point in time, or sell it. Like, I haven't found anything in game that's better than anything that I've crafted, to be honest. So
I
that's,
I have, but
but
I
like
got like
I
some.
invested in the crafting shit though.
I
Is the
haven't.
thing. Like I
I've been trying to level it, but like I don't want to grind it out. Like I'm just like,
Yeah,
okay,
it
whatever.
is. It's a hell of a grind, to be quite honest. But like they showed off like the closet thing where V walks over to the closet and he opens up the door and then like he can like you literally like shuffle through your clothes and then when he grabs it and he like looks at it, it tells you the specs of it like, oh yeah, plus 15 street cred or whatever. That's not in the game. That's not a thing.
That now, like that not being in the game, like I can kind of understand, because that's a lot of like animation, because you have to animate every piece of clothing and
But
all
you
sorts of
couldn't have
shit like
shown
that.
it. Like
That's
you
fair.
should
That's
have shown,
fair.
you know
That's
what
one of
I
those
mean? Like
things that like if this was too ambitious, like don't do this. Like don't
yes,
try.
exactly. Don't
Um,
do a Peter Molyneux.
mm,
Don't do that. He did it to Fable. He did it to all three of them.
or Gearbox with Colonial Marines,
Yeah.
but they.
I think I would have been okay. I just want to go ahead and put this out. I don't mean to cut you off. But I think I would have been okay if there was only like small amounts of clothing in the game that you could purchase or you could find and stuff, right? Like Assassin's Creed Valhalla did it, where there was only like a small amount of like clothing items and stuff in the game. They all gave you like different specs, like different things for your character, and depending on the way you play, it depends on like how would like which one you would wear, right?
Mhm.
I think it would have been okay with that, and then they could have filled up the closet instead of giving us 500 different or instead of giving us 500 different things for the same one cosmetic item that does like that might have like an augment slot on it, right?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that you don't have to do all that. Like I understand it's an RPG. I get it. But they're like doing too much, I feel like, like you don't have to do that. You could give me there might be like 14 or like 20 hats in the game, right? They all have a different thing that goes to them. And then there could be like 20 different tops, right? But they all have a specific thing that's adjusted to the top, right? Like, oh, if I want to wear this top, my street cred, melee damage, and sneaking goes up or something. And if I wear this one, it's for like weapons and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Now I haven't seen anything that augments my stats like that.
yeah, I haven't
Like
either. The only thing I've
it's
ever
all
seen
stuff that's
is
like it's
armor.
armor, and then you can mod it, and then
Mhm.
like the mods are even pretty blanket. Like there's not like super specific mods. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, here's more crit chance, crit damage, resistant to stuff, that kind of shit. Like it's nothing like
yeah,
super wild.
yeah. And like I'm pretty high up in crafting, and like I can't even craft anything that's relevant for like a mod. Like I might as well just go buy a mod. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like there's no point in wasting the the resources on crafting a new mod for my character. There's no point.
The
You know
only
what I
thing
mean?
is once you slot a mod, like you can't unslot it. You have to
Unless
destroy
you
it.
destroy it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
Um,
that kind of sucks.
and, like I like they have like the clothing stores and stuff, and the more your street cred goes up, the more stuff that you can buy from like the clothing store. Like that's cool. That's fine. That makes sense, I guess. But like you don't have to take one article of cosmetic and then give that thing like 70 different properties, and you just have to like It's like a randomized property on the piece of art. You don't have to do that anymore. Like people don't really care for that too much anymore, anyways. Like we like being able to customize our character and like pick the cosmetics for ourselves. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, I want this is what I want on it, but I want the cosmetic to look like this. You know what I mean? Like people want to do that kind of thing, and that's
People would prefer the skin route, like be able to
yeah.
apply a skin to an article of clothing, than
Mhm.
to actually have to change their clothing.
Yeah, because 9 times out of 10, your character's gonna look fucking ridiculous because you want, like, specific things to boost, like, specific parts of your character, but then, like, you're wearing, like, a top hat with, like, a freaking lion-coated jacket and a shirt that is, like, pink. Nothing wrong with pink, I like but you're wearing, like, a shirt that's pink, and then you got blue and green pants on with stilettos.
I haven't
You
found
know what
any
I mean?
stilettos yet.
I'm just throwing out
No, I
examples.
mean like that
But
would be
I'm
kind of sick. Like, would they clack when you run? That'd be sick. Would it level your athletics more when you run? That would also be sick. Cause like you have
or
stiletto, bro. It's shout out to women that can run in
or
heels, dude, or anyone in general. If you can run in heels, like yo, that's just hard.
but, like, I can understand that a game will change drastically, over the course of development, but you don't have to go that route where, like, this specific piece of, article of clothing has these things on it, and if you do go that route, then any piece of article of clothing that you dismantle, you should be able to get that cosmetic skin, and then you can apply that cosmetic skin to the piece of clothing that you have on currently, and then then you change the way that it looks to that piece of article of clothing. I'm just saying, like, that makes sense, right?
uh,
Otherwise, you've got a character running around that looks super goofy.
it's I
And
guess
yeah, you
it
can't look at him, but still.
I guess it's one of those things that like it really sucks that like everyone wants to be like big and shiny during development. Like everyone wants their thing to be sick as fuck,
Right.
and so they'll show these features that are really lofty, and that's what starts conversations and people get really interested and then they can't deliver it, and
Yeah.
like and then you have the whole like pushback because of like delay windows and da 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 da, and it's just one of those like, god damn, dude, like if you're gonna like, it's one of those things that sucks about like if you show the trailer like and it's not gameplay footage, like a lot of people have gotten better about like marking that, but like if you're showing something that is gameplay footage, like try to keep
Right.
every part of that. um
Because then you're gonna get people that are gonna get it, and then they're gonna be like, "This, it's not even a fucking game. Like, what the fuck? Like, I feel lied to."
which one of the things is like, at least for me personally, like I don't particularly mind that that's not there. um
Mhm. It's just a little thing that I'm
yeah,
thinking
yeah,
about.
it's like a little like gripes. Like no, I completely understand. It's at least the game it's not okay. The first act is not good. Like the first act
Kind of boring.
is kind of boring. Like
Yeah, I
and
felt I felt more doing the side quest than doing the first act.
like it's just like, and the side quests aren't time sensitive. Like you could actually like blow through the beginning and then still have the same quest. Because
Yeah,
I actually went back and did a quest that I was in the middle of doing
yeah,
after the intro. But like
but go
I'm
ahead.
trying to like articulate like, it's Cyberpunk is one of those games that like I'm gonna beat it. I want to do everything I can do in it, and I'm probably not gonna play it again for a very long time. Which
Agreed.
which that's a good single player experience. Like don't get me wrong, but honestly the beginning of the game I dead ass felt like I was playing Fallout 4.
Yeah,
Like gunplay felt exactly the same. Melee combat felt exactly the same. Like I guess that's the issue with like first person RPGs like as a whole, is like
mm,
they just they all tend to feel the same
roughly, yeah.
until you like start to fuck with stuff completely differently. But
Right.
like as I have played like if you were to if I was to rate the game half an hour in and then hour in and then even 5 hours in, like I would probably rate the game at like a 7. Like
Yeah.
it was not very, there was nothing spectacular about it. But then like as I've played longer, the game has gotten
It
better.
changed. Yeah, I
Well,
agree. Like
it's
the
not,
longer I played, it felt better.
and not even in regards to like the gameplay loop itself. It's just that the depth of it, it's so much deeper. Like
Right.
because when you commit to doing like the little side stuff to grind up to level up, like you meet interesting people and like you go through some interesting shit and like some shit's kind of fucking wild and
Mhm.
it's just as you play you're like hell yeah this is some shit. And then it gets to the point where
Right.
you're like, "Oh, what the fuck? They put this in a video game." You know?
Mhm.
Um Also, I don't know if you had sex with a prostitute yet. That shit's kind of wild. It's really graphic. Like it's really graphic.
I know they show like everything going on,
They
but not like
don't they
everything, but
don't
like they give
show
it a rough.
they dead ass. The only thing they do not show is the actual act of penetration. Like
But they
dead
show like
ass.
everything else, and I
Yeah.
know like your controller shakes with like how close the character is to like busting their nut. You know, like that's a bit much, man. I'm being real.
That shit
You
was
can
crazy.
almost get away with putting out an X on the game type on the fucking rating. You can almost get away with putting a fucking X there.
There's dead ass a scene where you fuck a chick and she just walks around with like bare pussy, like for like and has a conversation with you. And it's like, okay, I guess this is normal. You know, whatever. Which I mean, like if you're ever in a relationship like that does happen. Like,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it was kind of wild. But nothing. No, it's not overly graphic. It's something like I would be weird. Like with my, I wouldn't. I would definitely not want to watch those scenes with my kids or my parents in the room. But like, it's not like borderline pornography either.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess it could be. I guess you could
I
consider
mean, I guess.
softcore. You know,
I mean, it's like
like
if you take the Mass Effect scenes where like the body motions were very graphic, and then just
mhm.
here's titties, like
And
it's about
here's
as
the camera moving in and
right.
out.
Like I guess that's it. But um,
Now, for I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you're
What
fine. You're fine. You're fine. I actually forgot what point I was about to make, and so I'm trying to remember.
Now, I know that for at least an hour and 2 minutes and 30 seconds, we have been talking about the bad, parts of the game, or things that we feel like kind of just dropped off. However, I will say that the game is good.
Hmm.
It's fun. Like once you start getting into the game, it's fun. It's enjoyable. There's so many things in the game that you'll enjoy doing and playing and getting to know the characters, developing your own character, creating a personality through your character and how you play. You know what I mean? Um, so with all that being said, like the game is good. It is fun to play. Now, is this a game that like once I beat it, I'm immediately gonna feel like, oh damn, I want to go back and replay it now. You know what I mean? Like I don't think so. And this is another thing that we were talking about in the first or in the last podcast that we talked about, where we were talking about, oh, this could possibly be a game where we could go back and feel like as soon as you get done with it, like I gotta start a new game right now, like I'm gonna have a whole ass different fucking experience. But that's not the case, you know? This is a game that I feel like I'm gonna play it, I'm gonna beat it, I'm gonna get done with it, and then I'm probably gonna set it down and come back to it probably like 3 hours. Or not 3 hours, like 2 or 3 years maybe. You know what I mean? Or whenever the DLC drops, or when it is re-released on the next generation of consoles, or like yeah, re-released for the actual PS5 version of the game. But ultimately, looking at the game for what it is, I've enjoyed it. I can't get off of it. I am happy with it. There are things, little details that we've just spent this last hour talking about that add up. They do, you know. But ultimately, it's a fun experience. I'd recommend it.
Right now, I'd rate it like a 9,
Mhm.
about a 9, maybe 8.5, 9.
I'm still
If it played better, I would go higher. Because
Mhm.
driving is trash. Raise your hand if you think the driving is good in that game. I think the driving's trash. That's just me.
I didn't raise my hand. It's bad. Like
Uh,
if you go too fast, the game will slow down, and then it won't render anything, and you have to wait for the whole thing to catch up to you
I also
before you can do
recommend
anything.
I also recommend driving on a motorcycle because that is actually manageable. Like
Yeah,
driving in
driving in a car
cars,
sucks,
it's true, it's bad. But
but
driving the
driving in a
motorcycle
motorcycle, like
is
everything's fine.
is sick.
Hmm.
It works
Like
like
I
you would
like.
think it would, and the only thing is like collision is kind of really wild. Like
Yeah.
I've hit a bump and flown. Like fell down a whole ass on ramp because I hit like a speed bump. This shit was wild.
I ran directly into the back end of a vehicle, and I shot up in the air, and I was like spiraling in the air, and then I just landed softly on the
Yeah, that stuff's kind of crazy too. Um,
ground.
but yeah, it's a very like it's a very good experience. I've enjoyed especially going into Act Two. Like
Mhm.
I've enjoyed so much stuff. Like is this like yo? I'm about to drop. I'm about to drop like spoiler, not spoiler, no context. I'm gonna give you no context. You find this shit yourself. Okay. Dead ass. I'm so serious when I say this. I crucified a guy. I drove the nails in with a hammer and quoted scripture. Crucified a guy. I let me see what else did
Whoa,
I do.
whoa,
I
whoa, whoa,
drove a
whoa! No, no,
tank.
no, no, no! Well, hold on. You were getting. I did not want to hear about any of this. I want to experience it. I
Like
wanted to like hit me at a shock and be like, "What the fuck?"
like this shit's it's so crazy. But like it's stuff that you okay, the tank thing like you probably won't miss. But the crucify, it was a little bump of it was a little job off the street, dude.
Oh wow, it was just like a little side quest.
Yeah, so
What the
serious.
fuck?
It was just like a little thing. I was like, what? The premise of it was really wild.
That
Because
was just a
that,
side quest.
yeah, like, have you edited a brain dance yet?
Yeah, I've done that.
It brain dances are cool. It's like a little like Batman, like Inspector
Yeah,
Gadget shit. That's neat.
Spectre Gadget.
Um, but like, there's not. I feel like for as much person, like the city has more personality than the people that live in it.
Yeah.
Is like my concern because like I have met three people that I can name that are not like main quest character or no, well, two of those are main quest characters. So or kind of.
Mhm.
Like I've met Judy, I've met the Nomad chick, I've met River, which no one here has probably met River yet. But he's a side quest dude. But I like him. He's cool. I've really got nothing else. Like there ain't a lot of people. And then your fucking phone calls, man. Stop texting me about buying a fucking car.
Bro, they blow your fucking phone up
Bro,
about that shit.
gosh, you will get literally dead ass at the end of Act 1. Like actually the beginning of Act 2 when you get into like a weird like little car accident, right? Which that quest is really wild if you go and do it. It's really wild. But like
I didn't
sudden
even make it out of fucking the garage.
some like it's just text message. Here, buy a car. And you're like, okay, you get one. Like at the beginning you get one, right?
Mhm.
But then like there'll be certain missions like I'll be driving to like waypoints and stuff. And then the dead ass the leader of that section, the fixer for that area will call you and just to kind of like introduce himself or whatever. They'll call you. And then suddenly you get the fucking text messages about the fucking cars. Like
Just
dead
nonstop.
like dead ass. I have like 20 text messages about fucking cars. And it's like I don't care. I don't want to
Once
buy
you
a
get the
fucking car right now.
motorcycle, once you get the motorcycle from a friend, um, that I pretty much I'm not gonna buy a car.
It's an
They just
achievement to
gave
buy. It's an achievement to buy all the cars, so I'm going to eventually, but like not right now.
achievement hunting.
Yeah,
But
but like right now,
I
I'm
mean,
like like mods are more like cybernetics are more expensive than cars,
yep.
so that's where my money is going.
I only
Apparently,
just got double jump.
yeah, I haven't bought double jump yet. I'm going
I
to.
only just got it. I
I
literally
bought because I bought Mantis Arms and Gorilla Fist, and both that's 30,000 right there. It's
yeah.
just
I
expensive.
don't. I wanted to get the mantis arms because I mean I use blades, so like
Hmm.
to me it made sense to grab them. But my tech skill is so high in comparison to my blades that like I should probably get the little attachment thing that you can like throw injections in his neck and shit. You know?
Is that what that is?
Yeah,
It's
it's
like a
like
whip.
you know the jack port that you pull
Hmm.
out of your hand? It's pretty much that, but you, like, take it and you throw it, and it connects to them, and then
I mean,
you can, like,
apparently you could beat
override.
people with it too.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, it literally says that you can like Yoko people with it. Like in the item in the description for it, it says you can like eviscerate someone in one hit. I was like, oh, that's crazy. And then I want the gun. I want the gun hand because why not? Like I want to buy
The
that
gun
stuff
hand
just because.
dope. Yeah,
Um,
I mean, like, I think if I could get the gun hand thing, I probably won't carry pistols anymore,
yeah.
and
And
I think
that's the other thing. Like, is it if it's good enough that it can actually like replace my guns? Like, would I just not do that?
yeah,
But there's
but, I mean, ultimately, like, I don't what were you gonna say?
I just there's not like the cybernetics are like really expensive, but they're really not like
There's not a
game.
lot of them.
There's not game changers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's just like do more. Like it's the thing you do already plus
but do more of.
plus like do more,
Yeah.
and
I
that's kind of sad.
I mean, there's not even, like, a lot of cybernetics. Like, I've gone to, like, 6 different people
I swear
for,
they
you know,
carry all the same shit. Like I
and
swear.
for the most part, they do, and some of them sell sometimes they sell different stuff, you know what I mean? Like, one vendor I went to, he sells, like, um fire prevention where like you're immune to fire damage or like you're immune to electricity or you're immune to poison, you know. And another vendor will sell like 6 different like mind implants to increase your RAM space or whatever the fuck else they have, you know. Those that's about it though. I mean, other than that, like they all sell about like the same fucking shit. And like when they introduce Victor and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's the best one in the city." You go in there and you look at his stuff, and he like hardly has any.
Well, that's because like that's the soft like introduction into that shit.
Another thing is like street cred. If you get your street cred high enough, shouldn't more stuff unlock for cybernetics, or is that just for clothes?
No, it's for everything. It's for vendors like across the board. But I don't use vendors. Like I don't
Right.
use them.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff I got like one of the bats I picked up, a dead ass. It was like a little like cutscene thing where like the girl was threatening somebody with it and then she threw it because she was mad. And then I went and picked it up and now I have a
Yeah.
legendary bat, which that's sick.
Zero says there are legal vendors, and then there's the black market. I usually tend to go to the black market vendor. To be honest, I don't really usually shop legally. As far as this game goes, as far
Eh,
as the game goes.
like and the thing is like I don't feel like the variation is that wild because there's like a seedy motel and there's a lady there that sells stuff and you're like, hey, you got any under the table stuff? And she's like, yeah, I kind of do because the badges don't come out this far. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
okay. So then you're like, it's the same shit. It's just different guns. And then that's like,
yeah.
even if it's got to fall under your like preference.
And then there's I haven't found like a legendary vendor yet. Like anyone who sells like specifically legendary gear that like you need to bring a certain amount of credit for and a certain amount of street cred for and maybe some components to trade for.
Now see, like with me, one part not really using vendors and one part like having max street cred. Like I don't even know what was like high up there. I was just like, oh, this is just expensive. Like this is
Right.
expensive.
Everything in
But
that fucking game is expensive.
well, yeah, I mean that's a dystopian, utopian, cyberpunk future.
Yeah, fair
Makes
enough.
sense. The fucking like it really sucks to not spoil anything. Like it really sucks because there's lots of interesting conversations I would want to have like about like the setting because it
Well, I mean,
does.
we're gonna come back and talk about this
Yeah,
again. Like, we'll have another cyberpunk conversation. This is just like our initial thoughts of what we've got so far, or
mhm.
where we're at so far. You know what I mean? Like, eventually, probably next month. Probably next month. Once the game has been out for as long as it has at that point, like we can have those full blown conversations at that
Because
point.
like there's such like really like there's really specific people that like it's really worth to have a conversation about like them, and then like maybe by then we'll have like done certain quests and like we can have that conversation. Like that's super wild. Um, it's just the game is really it's a lot like everything is so open and out like the gigs are like the little like one-offs.
Mhm.
But like the side quest, there is a lot of depth in those side quests. There's a lot of
Right.
depth in
There
them.
really is. There's a
Um,
good. Oh my god! Like I've done quite a few, obviously, because I hit 25 in my uh street cred. But like honestly, like the side quests are like really fucking interesting.
and
Like
honestly,
I
but when you
really
get
enjoyed
when you
them.
get to the middle, I would assume it's the middle of the main quest where like it tells you to go do a bunch of like other stuff. Like that shit's just it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy.
Mm. I think honestly, I think we've pretty much hit on everything.
Pretty much. I without going into spoiler territory, like I think so.
Yeah. Um. Chat. Anything y'all want to talk about? What about your chat?
Chat,
Anything in the chat?
anything y'all want to talk about besides like play the game? It's sick.
The game's good.
I pray for you if you're having tech difficulties.
Yeah, big same. Speak now, forever hold your peace. For now, I think we hit on everything. Yeah, I think we pretty much hit everything that we could, to be honest. Without going into like super spoiler territory, I think we've hit pretty much everything that we can hit on. And then next month, for next month podcast,
So
I think
not
at that
next. So
point,
not next podcast, but next month.
yes.
Okay, so
Uh,
let me. I'm
then we
looking at the calendar now. Okay, so next podcast would be the 27th,
mhm,
right?
yes,
It would be on the 10th of January. The game will have been out for a month.
yes.
Okay,
At
that's
that
fine.
point, at that point, there's a grace period. You know, like once we've gotten past that grace period, like we're free to talk about anything at that point. Shad says Johnny is a cool character. I love Johnny.
Yo,
Johnny is a fucking
so
badass.
when they introduced him, I was like, Johnny, you're a fucking prick.
I thought the same thing.
I
Like
was
at the
like,
first, I was like, "Yo, fuck this guy, bro."
man, they cast
Because,
Keanu Reeves as damn near the villain. What the
because
fuck?
like when they first introduce you to him or whatever, like when you did the quest for him, where you play as him, which was the beta originally of the game, like that shit was sick.
Mm-hmm.
Like his little shotgun pistol that he carried, that was a motherfucking. That was. I want it. I want it. I want it. But
No comment.
specifically that one. I want that one specifically.
No comment.
But once like, cause like at the in the trailer when they introduce you to him for the first time, he's pulling you out of the fucking wreckage. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's pulling you out of
Which
the
I guess if you think about it, technically he still
Technically,
does, but it's in a
yeah,
different way.
yeah.
Um,
But his immediate thing that he says to you is, "Wake the fuck up! We got a city to save."
wake the fuck
But
up,
like,
samurai.
yeah, but like this time, the first thing he says to you is like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm gonna take your fucking body." Like that's the first thing he says to you, and you're like, "What the fuck?"
And the thing is like as you play and as you do side quests, he'll like chime in more and more about.
Yeah,
He'll help like give you advice and stuff. Like
or like he'll comment on the setting and be like, "This place is like a fucking shit sty or something." He says we got a city to burn. That's what I know.
he goes, "Wake up, samurai! We've got a city to burn."
Also, we have a common enemy, the buff guy. Buff guy.
Robo bitch. Is that who you're talking about?
Which one? Oh! I think he's talking about. No, I don't think he's talking about that guy. I think. Oh
He
yeah,
is
he is.
He's
Okay,
talking about Robo prick.
so he's talking about the dude that drops from fucking nowhere and smashes into the ground. That guy with the fucking turd on his
The
shoulder.
big dude, the big Robo bitch.
Yeah, the guy that was originally supposed to be dead, and then he wasn't dead, but then he was supposed to be dead again, and then didn't die. And by the way, that's from Cyberpunk 2020 that I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Like, and the fact that he's in this game is I don't know, it's fucking crazy. But ultimately, yeah. So that whole fucking situation, that's huge. That's I don't want to get into it because I don't want to get into like any kind of potential spoilers or anything. Because like I know stuff about him from 2020, but I also know stuff from 2020 that also like impacts this game. Like there are things that they've mentioned that you wouldn't know if you didn't play the tabletop. So yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think is that gonna do it for us?
That probably is.
Uh, an hour and 21 minutes. You got a 2020 source book? Yeah, I did get the 2020 source book. I got not the I didn't get it with the game. I actually found it in the game. I found the 2020 source book in the game because I was talking to Thomas at the beginning of the stream about that. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it. It's in the folder. Oh, I didn't get the game physically. I got it through digital along with a ton of goodies. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Zero. I got it digitally. But on PC. Oh, okay. Got you. Um But yeah, I think that's it, man. I think we've hit on everything that we can talk about as far as this game goes. Once we get past the grace period, we can eventually go into spoiler territory.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what our next podcast is going to be, the one on the 27th. So I'm going to leave that up to you to figure that one out. I don't know if you've already kind of figured something out. I sent you a couple of things that I also thought you might be interested in because I thought they looked fucking cool. The games that I sent you. Um, but anyways, I guess that's the end of the podcast. So, uh, for anybody who's here in the stream right now, I'll be streaming Danganronpa tomorrow, uh, Tuesday and Wednesday, I believe. As far as my main podcast or as far as my main stream goes, that's the schedule for me. Thomas, what about you?
I got another podcast to do later today, actually, because we missed yesterday.
Solid with Jacob.
Yep.
Gotcha. Well, on the podcast, then not this next one, but the one after that, when we get into the cyberpunk stuff, again, do you want to bring Jacob into it so we can get his perspective on stuff as well?
I don't know. I can ask him because like he's been like I said because he's been playing like an inferior version. Like the game has really frustrated him because it barely functions.
Fair enough.
So
Fair enough, yeah.
if he plays it, I'll talk to him about it. But if he doesn't really play it, like we'll just ride.
We'll just do our thing.
Two perspectives is enough, I think.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, with all that being said, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. I appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you, Illusionist, again for that follow you dropped on Rewrite. Really cool guy, really solid dude.
I'm the fucking greatest.
But outside of that, I will see you guys in the next stream tomorrow morning. So, with all that being said, bye bye, everyone. Bye bye. Bye.